The coffins kept coming today. So did grieving relatives. More than 50 people are now known to have died in yesterday's suicide bombing in Bajaur, not far from Pakistan's border with Afghanistan. Amongst the victims, children attending the political rally targeted by the Islamic State group. 2 of Abdul Hamid's cousins were killed, his young son badly injured.
It's really sad. We lost our loved ones. So many were martyred in this incident. I demand that the government investigate because this was a brutal, unjust act. Now we don't know what will happen in the future.
The crowd had been listening to speeches from members of a right-wing religious party. Then the bomber struck. The party, known as the JUI, has traditionally been supportive of the Taliban across the border in Afghanistan, but they're also part of Pakistan's ruling coalition. The Islamic State group said it targeted the gathering as part of a war against democracy. The attack in Bajaur district is part of a resurgence in violence by militants in what was formerly known as Pakistan's tribal areas. It follows the Taliban takeover in neighbouring Afghanistan. There's been an increase in attacks elsewhere along the border too, though the bloodshed hasn't yet reached the levels seen around a decade ago. Back then, more than 1,000 Pakistanis were killed in a year, but as military operations ramped up, that number steadily decreased, before beginning to rise again when the Taliban took power in Afghanistan in 2021. This year looks set to be particularly deadly. More than 370 people killed already. The Islamic State group's base in the region is across the border in Afghanistan. The Taliban there have fought against them, but they've been unable to wipe them out. And the Taliban are actively harbouring another militant group responsible for even more of the violence in Pakistan, the Pakistani Taliban.
There are 2 forces. They are either pro-Taliban forces or they are anti-Taliban forces. But the problem for the Pakistanis is that both of them are actually targeting Pakistan. This time, the problem is not just in terms of incidents of violence. We also see an ideological realm that is more dangerous than the physical one. This success story of the Afghan Taliban, we don't require borders for ideologies to seep in.
Pakistan's intelligence services back the Afghan Taliban's rise to power. But as attacks in Pakistan rise, many in the country worry that policy has backfired. Elections are expected by November, and the country is already in a state of political turmoil following a massive crackdown on former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his supporters. Renewed militant violence is adding to the unease.